Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to pose the question, in light of the recently introduced Canadian anti-spam legislation, known as CASL, are interruptive marketing strategies going the way of the Dodo? Before we jump into it, I'd like to remind you that this is not legal advice, but rather simply our approach to CASL. No doubt you've experienced your share of pop-ups, waiting a few seconds to watch an ad before you can play that video, articles littered with advertisements midstream, and email marketing messages. These are all forms of interruptive marketing. Email strategies, such as email and texting in particular, are among the interruptive forms recently targeted by Canada's anti-spam legislation. If we were being honest with one another, we'd have to admit that a lot of what marketers have traditionally sent under the guise of lead nurturing or drip campaigns basically amounts to unsolicited offers. You may be wondering how that would affect us, being we are an online marketing firm. The truth is, not all that much. Unlike many marketing agencies, Kayak has never been keen on sending interruptive messages to our prospects. That's right, while lead nurturing is a staple of most online firms, it has never been a big part of our business growth strategy. I'll bet you're wondering, if we don't aggressively send volume messages to our clients all that often, just how do we manage our email marketing efforts? The answer is quite simple. We'd rather respond than interrupt. When a prospect or client requests information, we simply send it to them. By asking, they've clearly given us permission to send it. It's a solid approach that can create enviable engagement ratios as well as being CASL compliant. A quick definition from the master of opt-in, otherwise known as permission marketing, Seth Godin, where he says, permission marketing is the privilege, not the right, of delivering anticipated, personal, and relevant messages to people who actually want to get them. He actually wrote that in 1999. Now on to the legislation itself. Okay, so because so many business marketers have abused that privilege of email and other electronic communication tools, Canada has enacted CASL to govern the use of e-marketing tools and strategies. The goal? Reduce the prevalence of spam. Before we go into the detail, I'd like to pull another quote from Seth. Namely, real permission is different from presumed or legalistic permission. Just because you somehow get my email address doesn't mean you have permission. Just because I don't complain doesn't mean you have permission. And just because it's in the fine print of your privacy policy doesn't mean it's permission either. Something to think about. What we're looking at right now is the sales and marketing funnel. Most people who have been in sales before or in a sales role or new business role are probably going to be familiar with this. Essentially at the top of the funnel, the area highlighted in red here, what we're doing is we're treating that as our traction phase of a buyer journey or the funnel. And so we remove barriers to content consumption. So items like blogs, infographics, and other assets we feel are important for the reader to receive are not gated behind a sign-up request or download form. Now there are some exceptions to that rule, but generally the idea is to not gate them. Okay, to recap, at the top of the funnel, we don't worry about scheduling follow-up emails as you'd normally see in a drip campaign or lead nurturing automation cycle. Instead, we allow people to access tofu content at their leisure, primarily ungated. For some items, like a subscription for example, we treat it as a single event opt-in. Okay, as prospects encounter interesting content via social and search that leads them back to your site, they'll willingly visit. And they'll decide to download your offers or interact with you based on the quality of that information or that content. They'll even come back multiple times, and with each repeat visit, those visitors become more familiar with us and move themselves further along our sales funnel. Okay, throughout that sales funnel, we're going to prompt people to take action, to go to those forms where they will opt in. So prompting prospects to an offer, a related article, even subscribe to your blog is pretty smart practice. Whether it's a link, a button, or even a more elaborate graphic, we always want to include prompts to more. As I say, if you don't ask, you won't likely get. So in the middle of the funnel is typically where prospects start getting more serious. So if you think again back to the top of the funnel being an attraction section, when we're in the middle of the funnel, we're more or less looking at an opportunity to engage with them a little bit more. We've generally passed their preliminary qualification round, and so now it's our chance to start transforming our messaging to be a bit more about the solutions we provide that would be helpful to them. Okay, and thanks to an increasing comfort level from the positive experience, the good content they interact with and whatnot, perhaps they're interacting with you in social as well, prospects just naturally lower the defenses and allow us to ask for more information. This is where we have an opportunity to have an opt-in form or a sign-up, prompting prospects to sign up or download not only becomes easier now, it's one more way your prospects can actually self-qualify for your services. So basically they're moving themselves down your funnel or through your buyer process. So to recap, at the very top of the middle of the funnel, we can ask for a first name and email address on our sign-up forms. Once prospects move a little bit deeper through that, we start to earn trust, ask them for more information, perhaps their position or the company they work for, their phone number, things like that. If we've done our job right and helped them to otherwise otherwise provided value, those people would be more inclined to proceed and go ahead and give you that information. So, and of course, we have the bottom of the funnel. So at the bottom of the funnel is typically a contact request, maybe a phone call, maybe an official opt-in. This is essentially when somebody does that, it's a bona fide new business lead. It would, from a website perspective, we look at this as a marketing qualified lead or a MQL. Typically, this is a transition point between marketing and sales. When that bottom of the funnel activity happens, generally goes straight to sales. It's up to sales then at that point to sales qualify and just make sure that that person is indeed a viable prospect. Okay. So once again, not only is this approach compliant with the new CASL laws, but it places the onus on the prospect to opt in. If he or she wants to take the next step, they will. Provide quality content, and they'll do just that. Thus, no interruption, all attraction, and people willingly do this. So, are interruptive strategies going the way of the Dodo? Actually, in my view, not completely yet. As long as companies continue to send email blasts and no one actually gets sued under the legislation, I imagine people will continue to do it. So it's just a matter of time, I imagine. So that said, the activities of more responsible marketers, like you and I, just might make a difference. Because when we favor attraction-based or response-style marketing activities over interruption strategies, we're setting a better example and making more friends in the process. And of course, with friends comes new referrals and leads and more learnings. So on a side note, I did want to point out that a forced checkbox, the CASL solution recommended by more than a few internet marketers and law firms, might technically be compliant. It's just as technically rude. Okay, otherwise known as gating your content, requiring a prospect to check a box to complete a download is essentially poor form. On a personal note, I'd rather a prospect receive my content and enjoy the experience than be refused access to it. Okay. At this point, I'd like to switch direction a bit to the personalization features of HubSpot. You may not be aware that we're a HubSpot partner, and so we use the software on a regular basis for our own site and for many client sites. So what I want to talk about is how we apply CASL compliant strategies to HubSpot emails. Okay, you can apply these strategies to other email solutions such as MailChimp and whatnot, as many of them have helpful personalization features as well, some of which you're likely already using, even addressing a person's name and whatnot. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to go to show you some screens on HubSpot. So this is a screenshot of a HubSpot email main message section. Notice the personalization button on the toolbar, which is highlighted there in the dark gray, and the green highlighted items within the content of the message. Okay, these are actually fields from HubSpot's contacts database, and it actually works in very similar to a mail merge it would have done years ago with Word or whatnot. In addition, the concise message itself is personalized, complete with a photo of the sender, in this case myself, My name and position and the overall tone of the message is fairly friendly. So these are all just good practice for making sure your emails are received well by the recipient. Okay. Additionally, within HubSpot, you can access contact form fields and place them within the subject line. In this case, the field contact.firstname is indicated with double brackets, and you can see that in the message field. Putting both of those elements together, we've accomplished a couple of things, namely personalization of the email message, as well as meeting Castle guidelines on being able to prove opt-in by adding a first conversion and the date of that first conversion in the bottom of the message. Again, these have been pulled from our contacts database. You could potentially use any data reference you have on file, and that would be your proof of opt-in that Castle requires. Okay. Viewed in its entirety, we have a full Castle-compliant email message. Note that at the bottom of the final email, we include company details as well as obvious update or unsubscribe links, so people who do not want to receive your emails can unsubscribe as opposed to mark you as a spammer, or update the preferences to only receive certain types of information. So this is the best practice and should be the way you operate all of your email marketing, with the exception of personal emails between individuals, because those aren't really covered in Castle. Those are assumed that there's an opt-in. Okay, in closing, I'd like to add that even if you disagree with our approach or follow a different philosophy, you should be less concerned about the technicalities of the new anti-spam laws and focus more on what lawmakers and buyers alike are trying to tell you. They don't want unsolicited messages, and you won't score any points by sending offers they haven't requested. Thanks for attending. If you have more questions or would like assistance setting up your HubSpot emails to be Castle compliant, please let us know. Our info is available through our website at kayakonlinemarketing.com, or you can call us at 1-403-228-2525 locally in Calgary, or 1-855-228-2525 anywhere in North America. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day.